The most powerful games aren't built for communities. They're created with them. Cassie Borales, Senior Director of Marketing and Communications at Games for Change, will now lead a conversation with Jessica Murrey, Emmy Award-winning CEO of Wicked Saints Studios and creator of the world's first adventure activism game called World Reborn, and Karla Reyes, founder of Anima Interactive and creator of Take Us North. These pioneers in community-centered design will explore how co-creation transforms gaming into a force for real-world impact. From players gaining an in-game strength through real-world community actions to directly collaborating with migrants to authentically tell their stories, these projects showcase how games can bridge digital and physical worlds while empowering players as agents of change. Here to tell us more are Cassie, Karla, and Jessica.
Hello. Hi, everyone. So I'm Cassie Borales, the Senior Director of Marketing and Comms here at Games for Change, and I'm so excited to be here today to talk with you all about the future of community building. So for decades, the gaming industry has operated on a very similar model. Developers create games, players consume games, and that's really what it's been. We build games for audiences in the past, but in the past decade or so, we've really seen a shift. Community has become really essential for games to succeed, period. Some of the most successful games we see today are ones that have fostered really vibrant and engaged communities. We've seen this accelerate too. Communities are no longer just passive audiences, but active participants in games and game creation. But today, we're going to talk about something a little bit different. What if communities didn't just play games, but were actively part of shaping that game? Today, I'm so excited to be here with these two amazing humans to talk about their fantastic projects that really embody this community-centric design. World Reborn, where players' real-world community actions power their in-game progression, and Take Us North, where migrant communities aren't just represented in the narrative, they are co-authors of it. So, Jess, let's start with you. Can you tell us a little bit more about World Reborn?
Amazing. Hello, everyone. I'm Jess. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Wicked Saints Studios, and I'm in charge of the projector. That's right.
Yeah.
I was like, it hasn't moved yet. That's on me. That's on me. Well, it's so amazing to meet you guys. So our mission at Wicked Saints is to empower the next generation to build a better world and live a happier life. And we do that through storytelling and gameplay and real-world actions. My story, we don't have a lot of time, get to it. My background is in international peace-building work. And I used to train young movement leaders and young activists all over the world, from Burundi, Nigeria, Colombia, Myanmar, Indonesia, in what we call common ground activism, which is how do you attack the problem, not the person. We believe that our inability to deal with difference stops us from making progress in every issue we face, whether you care about the environment or poverty or human suffering or equality, that we have to collaboratively problem solve in order to solve those issues. And we often need our people that we think are part of the problem or our opponents in order to create sustainable change. Otherwise, the pendulum just swings to whoever's in power. So spend all that time training these young, amazing movement leaders who go out and transform their community, and we wanted to scale that, and so that's why we went into games, created Wicked Saints. We came out of Niantic Labs incubators, the makers of Pokemon Go, and now we're a venture-backed studio backed by Riot Games and others. And our game is, so what we're creating here, is it working? There we go. Just have to point and click. So our game, World Reborn, is really a real-world activation platform with two hands. The experience of a story game. So basically, you choose your path, you find your power, and together we unfunk the world. 2 hands. Okay. 2 hands it is. Maybe not. Will it go back? It doesn't like me. Okay, well, that's okay. So part of what we do, okay, I'm still this way. Don't mind me. So depending on the choices you make within the story game and the actions you choose to do in real life, the game will sort you on where your inner strengths lie, backed by positive psychology. And so the message is that you are actually already strong, and the game just reveals where your strengths are and how to use your unique strengths to change your reality. Ha. And we, look at this. This is what we call mastery, right? You get better as it goes, repetition. So part of what we do is you have a fantasy world that you're trying to save by spending energy, and the only way that you get energy is by doing small, brave things in the real world that either help your own well-being or help others. And you get these real-world trainings by real-world change makers. So we have everything from inner-city Boston kids to former military veterans. We have one in the studio, Natalie, right there, is also featured in the game Mayhem Mermaid, with her stuff around authenticity, sponsored by Discord, who's also there in the stage. Yes. And so our real-world change makers guide players through how to do these activities. And then we've basically created a flywheel where brands and creators and even players are incentivized to not just do the real-world action, but share it on socials, and it just continues to create more impact. So what we saw with ELF, we've integrated ELF Beauty's rewards program into the game. And so reward members are very valuable. Studies show it's like around $800 lifetime value for a loyalty member. Well, with our game, 1 in 4 players sign up for Beauty Squad. And so what we found is that for every $1 ELF were to put in for user acquisition, they could get 67x return on what they put in for a return on investment. And so basically what we believe is that we're building the next evolution of entertainment marketing. So you have your passive media where you watch the hero. You have your more engaged UGC media where you play the hero and within the confines of a platform. And then what we're building with World Reborn is activated media, where the player isn't just watching or playing the hero, they're becoming the hero. And then brands get to participate with the player with real-world actions, both within the platform and outside the platform. And so our teaser launch is out. You can download it now, and you can only download it till July 1st. So go download it, tell your friends. We're also in the arcade, and we've partnered with Discord, ELF Beauty, and Starlight Children's Foundation in the room as well. Look at that. We got all the reps. And then really quick, so we found amazing value to our players. 97% of players said that the game made them feel good playing these real-world actions. We have players telling us that the game has healed them, that it's changed how they show up in the world, and it is fun. It's not broccoli, like everybody was worried. They're really enjoying the story and the art and the experience. And then we've created amazing impact. And one example of this is we've had over 7,000 players opt in to write notes to hospitalized kids within the game. And we're already starting to get videos back from these kids watching the poetry and the stories that our players have written to them, and it's just absolutely amazing. So yes, and I'll leave it there. Please go download and check us out and give us feedback. Okay.
I just love the model for World Reborn so much because you are integrating community and co-creation just at the foundation of pretty much everything you do, which is not a small feat. So Jess, you're building communities through real-world actions, bringing people together and all that. But Karla, you are integrating your community into the narrative and the creation of the game itself. So can you talk a little bit about Take Us North?
Yes, of course. Okay, I'm going to try my hand now. Wait, oh, okay. Oh,
Oh,
no,
sorry,
did it
one
not?
more.
Secret slide.
Oh, one more. Oh, I see. It's the double click.
Yes, the double play.
Okay, thank you.
We got there. It's all
Appreciate
good.
it.
It's all good.
Okay, well, yeah, hi, everybody. My name is Karla Reyes. My pronouns are she, her. Just quick background. I started my career in AAA, so I was working as a designer at Square Enix and then Niantic, so we overlapped at Niantic. And I also helped build an organization called Code Coven, which is a global classroom and accelerator for for underrepresented talent within the creative technology and interactive media spaces. While I really appreciated my time in larger studio structures, I found myself encountering barriers because of more monolithic kind of organizations. I really wanted to do a lot of impact work and a lot of DEI work. And so it was one of the reasons why I ended up founding my own studio, Anima, and we're fully focused on telling socially conscious stories. So it's just been really lovely to be in this community because everybody here is so mission-driven, and it's very energizing, so thank you. Yeah, Take Us North is our first original project, and it is a narrative adventure/survival light game that follows the journeys of migrants and asylum seekers on their way to cross the US-Mexico border. So obviously a very relevant and urgent topic, and our whole goal is to humanize these stories and foster greater awareness and empathy around a subject matter that is deeply complex, not covered well in mainstream media, and capture the individuality, the nuance, the complexity of this subject. So let's see, with the double click, did that work?
This is so validated.
I know. I'm like,
They weren't lying when they said
there we
this
go.
is the
Okay, yes. So the game is primarily set in the Sonoran Desert, which is one of the deadliest migrant trails in the world. It's between Arizona and Mexico, and we are deeply rooted in research. So that's, oh gosh, back. Okay, there we go. Yes, and it is grounded in reality. So all of the settings are based on real world migrant trails, and I've been going down to the borderlands, walking along the trails where the migrants pass through, even to this day. My last trip was actually this year, which was a little scary because of obviously the new administration and tighter border security, but we are collaborating closely with migrant shelters, which I will get to. But pictured here, you can see, of course, the wall, but there's also the Beast, which is a freight train that runs through Mexico, La Bestia, where migrants will have to ride on top of this freight train. There's the Darien Gap, which is another one of the deadliest migrant trails in the world in South America, where you traverse through jungle terrain and river terrain. And these are just some of the settings that we cover in the game. We are collaborating closely with various people within the ecosystem of migration. So we are, is this showing? Okay. We're collaborating with a lab at UCLA that specializes in migration. Professor Jason De Leon has a team of, I managed to find the one PhD student that specializes in the role of woman in migration specifically, because we have many protagonist female characters and also cover members of the LGBTQIA community. This is something that, again, not a lot of people understand around the motivations behind migration and the reasons why people flee, persecution and violence. I feel like we have so much to talk about in that regard as well. And yeah, so that's, I'm pictured there I've been conducting extensive interviews with migrants in a shelter in Mexico, Casa de la Misericordia, and this has been over a year of research now, weaving a lot of their stories into the project. And we actually are running a Kickstarter campaign at the moment where we're also sharing a lot of the handcrafted artisanal goods that they create in this shelter. So as a way to process trauma and heal, the migrants will engage in different activities like embroidery and textile making. And if you back our project, sorry, shamelessly plugging, you will have the opportunity to receive some of these as part of your rewards. And it all goes back directly to the shelter, of course, in providing this economic opportunity for them and support as well. There we go. Partnering with grassroots organizations at the border, Humane Borders and the Samaritans, who will go and leave resource drops in the desert where they know that the migrants are becoming the most dehydrated or even dying. As I said, it's one of the deadliest trails because you have to face extreme heat, extreme cold, deterrence policies. There's prevention through deterrence, which essentially means that the terrain is essentially weaponized by US Border Patrol in ways, and the objective is to try to keep migrants in the desert for as long as possible. And I've gone there firsthand and seen, there are a lot of bad actors that will go and vandalize these, resources that because they don't want, illegal immigrants and a lot of the rhetoric around that. But so we are partnering with them, and so beyond just getting the stories from the migrants themselves, we're also working with a number of organizations to try to explore how we can actually scale this. So we're still, fairly early in development in production, but we want to start this work early, especially considering the relevancy and urgency of this subject. So just starting kind of beyond the interviews, we are also collaborating with other folks who have a personal connection or lived experience. Something that I didn't mention is of our own team, our own dev team. We are collaborating with a number of developers in Latin America or who are first-generation immigrants here who have a personal connection to these stories, to this subject. There is a collective called the Undocumented Filmmakers Collective, who are essentially artists and storytellers in their own right, but they all have a background of either having been undocumented, maybe they were dreamers, or they have some familial connection to this, and they've been participating in the project in our writers' rooms as well. An organization called Define American, which focuses on immigration storytelling within film and entertainment. They've been consulting with us as well. And then beyond just these organizations that are contributing to the actual development, we're thinking about, well, once we actually are going to start releasing the project to the public, whether it's in demo form, how can we use it as a tool to drive civic engagement, right? So I'm not sure if people are aware of, during the 2020 presidential election, AOC, she streamed the game Among Us with Ilhan Omar, and this was actually able to galvanize thousands of youth to vote, which is really powerful. And so we are, exploring partnerships with content creators. I will also give a shout out to Natalie and Angelina, who are here from the Twitch Latin Guild, because we've already started to get so much support from the community, people who feel, an affinity to these stories and want to support with amplifying them. The United We Dream, which is an immigrant youth network that has scale as well, and so we're thinking about the ways to connect with them to try to, galvanize youth to vote. The National Domestic Workers Alliance, I want to talk very quickly about this very powerful case study of how media and entertainment can actually even shift policy. So I don't know if anybody saw the film Roma, which came out, I think it was 2020, Alfonso Cuarón. It was about an indigenous domestic worker in Mexico. Domestic workers typically don't have many labor rights because they are often undocumented immigrants and so suffer a number of issues around that. And what Netflix, who produced the film, they partnered with the National Domestic Workers Alliance, which are a nonprofit here that support domestic workers' rights, to run a screening campaign of the film Roma. And after they were screening the film, they brought real-world domestic workers to come speak about the issues that they were experiencing. And through this campaign, they were actually able to influence policy change. So the U.S. issued the National Domestic Workers Bill of Rights, and this is, again, just really a testament to how media and entertainment shapes culture. Culture can even shift policy, and we're really trying to learn from these models. So we have people who worked on this campaign advising us, and yeah, it's an interesting time to see where media is headed and how we might be able to play a role in shifting perspectives around this complex issue. And yeah, we've been going around. Is this showing now? Oh, okay, sorry, I'm just making sure. Yes, we've been going around in festival circuit this year. We weren't necessarily going to show the game this early. As game developers, we're still in the incubation period. However, given the new administration and everything that is happening right now, we felt a responsibility to contribute to the cultural conversation, and the reception has been super positive, and we've showcased all around the world, and I've been especially interested to see the feedback from people in Europe, for example, who have less geographic proximity to the subject matter and how it's really opened their eyes to it. But even people in the US, right? We showcased at GDC. That was our first public exhibition, and people might think they know, but again, because it's not covered so well in the headlines, really being able to walk alongside migrants as they are going through this journey and hearing the real stories is very powerful. And we're just grateful that the reception has been positive so far. So it just keeps us going and motivated to get this thing shipped. And community building is such a crucial aspect of it, and I know that's kind of the through line for this talk. But we are, this is happening on multiple levels. So photographed here, that's a couple of Ami's here. Ami, shout out to Ami who's photographed here. A couple of our devs from GDC. Some came over from Guatemala this year, which was also scary for them because obviously there was a lot of people chose not to go to GDC this year, right? From outside of the U.S. This is a photograph from the migrant shelter. Last week we showcased at Tribeca, and I was actually able to bring two of the women that run the shelter over so that they could see the kind of showcase here and play the game. They've been looking at the game and playing the game as well, but just seeing it and connecting the dots was a really powerful experience. And it was all happening when there were protests here, right? There was the No Kings protest. There's a lot happening. I'm based in Los Angeles, so it's been a really fascinating time. Just last week, I was helping distribute groceries to undocumented immigrants who are too afraid to leave their homes right now, right? So this is now. This is happening now. It's very relevant, and we need the support because it is urgent and vital to bring these stories to life. And then another aspect of community building that we do is game jams. So we really want to not just tell our own stories, but also empower creators and values-aligned folks to share their own stories and think about the ways that we can use this beautiful medium of interactive media and video games for good, right? And so we've hosted a few game jams. The first one we hosted was in partnership with Cinereach, and I know a couple of Cinereach folks are here, so shout out, thank you. They've been huge supporters. But it was themed around justice, and the, I guess, call to action was really just to have developers create games that wove different lenses of justice into their projects, and that culminated in a showcase at South by Southwest in Austin last year. We had 100 developers from about 20 countries participate. There were some really cool projects that came out of that. One was a team from Palestine that was just focused on kind of promoting a peaceful Palestine and sharing their culture with the world. Another was a story of two sisters going on a road trip, crossing the Texas state line because one sister had to get an abortion, so it was talking about reproductive rights. And then we've since hosted a number of other game jams. Most recently, we partnered with Trevor Noah's production studio called Day Zero Productions. They have an inherent kind of climate consciousness focus. Day Zero stems from Trevor's background in South Africa and the water shortage crisis there. And so we hosted a solar punk themed jam, which was really cool, and we got to showcase some of the finalists during the first Summer Games Fest Green Games showcase. I don't know if Jude is here, but yeah, which was really cool to see just that more of these types of projects are being highlighted. I feel like I'm running way over time, so I apologize. I will leave my parting note now. This image pictured on the left here is actually an original painting from Lica Macias, who runs the shelter in Mexico, and it's called De Sinfonía a Sinfonía, which translates to from without a voice to a symphony. And it's really just a reminder of we need to try to break down barriers and walls, of course, and give voices to and let these voices be heard, right? And that's kind of what we're trying to do, is elevate marginalized voices and shine a light on stories that are often cast in the shadows and focus on healing and community and resilience. And I know it's a little kumbaya, but it's true. We need it now. So yes, that is it. That is the QR code to the Kickstarter. So please support or amplify. Even if you can't pledge, just getting the word out would be really appreciated, because we are very indie and scrappy and do not have a big marketing budget. So thank you, Games for Change. And that is,
Of course. Oh, we can just drop this. We can just drop this over here. So both of you have presented some really, really interesting models about co-creation and community and how we build together. And I think what we can all say from this is that co-creation matters a lot. And community matters. And players want agency. They don't just want their participation to be passive, they want it to be active. And I know that the three of us could probably spend so much time talking about community and tools and the future and all of this stuff, but I think what we can all take away from this is that it's not about what we build, it's who we build with. And I hope that y'all can leave with that. Help bring more people into making your games. It makes it so much more fun and so much better. World Reborn is on the second floor on the arcade, so go check it out. As Karla said, they're running a Kickstarter for Take Us North. Also go check that out. I think you're almost funded, which is very, very exciting. But that's all for us today. Thank you all so much for coming, and have a great rest of your festival.